Electrification is the future. Every manufacturer knows this, and after spending the last couple of years driving a bunch of new EVs coming to market, I believe that Ford is taking the most risk here, and it started, of course, with this vehicle. This is the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E, introduced with a lot of controversy because it uses the coveted Mustang name. This particular one here that I'm driving today is the ultimate version. This is the 2021 GT Performance Edition, and what that means is we have an upgraded electric motor that now pushes the power output to 480 horsepower and 634 pound-feet of torque. So to find out if this is the ultimate Mustang, I'm here just outside of San Francisco, California with Ford to drive this vehicle out on the road and on an autocross course. And the big question I want answered, has Ford managed to infuse the Mach-E GT with enough performance to be worthy of the coveted Mustang name? Stay tuned to find out. So when I first drove the Ford Mustang Mach-E earlier this year, I was simply blown away with the level of technology, comfort, speed, and range, and also just the overall package that Ford offers in this vehicle that I actually went out and ordered a GT version because I wanted a little bit more. So of course, now that I'm finally getting a chance to spend some time with the GT and GT Performance, I'm definitely super excited to do so. So of course, let's talk about the styling changes of this model compared to the standard Mach-E. Now this particular one here is shown in the signature color. This is Cyber Orange Metallic Tri-Coat. It's a $500 upcharge if you guys want. This color is exclusive to the GT trim, although I just read that Ford is making the color available on 2022 models. So again, it's not going to be a GT exclusive color anymore. But regardless, this color definitely helps this model stand out even more. And to me, this is a really attractive looking vehicle. Now, of course, styling is always subjective, but compared to its main competitor, the Tesla Model Y, I think the Mach-E is just a gorgeous car that turns heads everywhere that you take it. Now, of course, let's talk about the styling differences from the front fascia. Now, this is the GT Performance. All Mach-E's come with the signature full LED headlights, which include sequential LED turn signals, LED low and high beams. No fog lights, but you do have a much more aggressive lower front lip, along with the same active aero. You can see the black painted front splitter here looks great. You have functional vents there that create an air curtain over the wheels. And then of course the GT, the signature regarding the GT is this right here, this kind of fake grille that you get at the front with the pony logo here, which is illuminated. Ford says doing the illuminated pony logo was really tough on the manufacturing side, and it's going to be really difficult to copy for those of you who have a standard Mach-E and you want to add that. This is a signature defining factor of the GT. You can see the camera is mounted nicely right above the running horse logo. And I actually think this looks fantastic with the cyber orange, the black two-tone. It really kind of breaks it up, even though you don't need a grille on an electric vehicle. I love how Ford included it on the GT version to give this vehicle a much more unique look to it. Now, of course, looking at the side profile of the performance version, you're going to notice that it sits lower because it's about a ½ an inch lower. Ground clearance is around 5.1 inches. And this is the model that has the Magno rheological dampers. For $5,000 extra, Ford upgrades that, and they give you much stickier tires. You can see all GTs come with 20-inch wheels. I hate the flower wheels, which I'll show you in just a moment on the standard GT. You can see this is the 20-inch multi-spoke wheel with the black machine painted pockets. It comes with Pirelli P0 summer tires, which were again co-developed with Ford and Pirelli to specifically handle the torque output that the GT Performance and GTs give you. The red painted brake calipers that are Brembo also are exclusive to the GT, not necessarily GT Performance. And now, for those of you who, again, have the standard version, you're going to notice the fenders here are painted body color, which is definitely great. It helps to kind of visually lower the car. You can see also the roof continues to be a black. This one here has the glass roof, which does not open. It doesn't have a shade, but you can also get a black painted roof if you guys don't want the glass roof. You can see the GTs also give you a black painted side mirror over there with the integrated turn signals. And then from this angle here, you can really see how Ford did a great job, I think, with the overall silhouette. I love the fact that, again, the door handles are completely not here. Instead, we have this button that you push that you can kind of stick your hand back there to get into the rear door. And then for the front doors, you still have that same handle. And Ford still continues to offer their phone as a key, which they've made updates to it. It works a lot better nowadays versus the earlier systems when I first tested it out. At the rear, you can see not much is truly different from the standard Mach-E. The rear bumper, again, is slightly different. You have a nice GT badge at the back, which is nice and subtle. The regular Mach-Es will have a running horse again, and you can see the taillights full LED, which again very much closely mimic the current S550 Mustang with sequential turn signals. And then down here you can see no visible exhaust tips. Obviously this is an all-electric car. Now let me open up the cargo area and show you guys what that space is like. This vehicle has roughly the same cargo space, although Ford says by the numbers you get around 26.7 cubic feet of space with the second row seats up. That's technically 3 cubic feet less versus the standard Mach-E. If you fold down the seats, it still expands it out to around 59 cubic feet of space. So that did not change. You still have underfloor storage over here where you can store things like the mobile charger. Your actual battery is back here. This car does not come with a spare tire. And then, of course, because it's an EV, it also still comes with a frunk. Now this is an all-electric vehicle, which means Ford did it right, and they also included a frunk just like the standard Mach-E that I showed you earlier this year. You have a generous amount of space underneath the hood, and because Ford took away those dividers, you technically have a little bit more usable space. I'm not sure if Ford will sell you back the dividers, but I'm sure you could probably find them somewhere in the aftermarket. Now Ford says you get around 4.7 cubic feet of space underneath here. You can see there is a release here in case you decided to see if you could get somebody stuck in here. There's also a nice LED light. There's also a drain hole in here, so you can use this as a cooler, which is really cool. And you can see your washer fluid is really accessible over here. The battery, as you guys saw, is actually in the cargo area underneath the floor. Now, of course, since we're underneath the hood of the GT version, let me just talk about the powertrain specs. All of them come with dual motor all-wheel drive. All of them come with 480 horsepower. The front motor on this vehicle has been beefed up. Ford didn't specify what the exact outputs are, but they did say that the front motor has more power versus the standard premium extended range version of this vehicle. You also get 2 different torque outputs. This model here is the base GT, which means it has 600 pound-feet of torque. The performance model does 634 pound-feet of torque. So we'll drive the 2 back-to-back out on the road, and you can see how they feel. In terms of the range, this vehicle will do 270 miles. This one here will do 270, which is the same range as the extended range premium model that I drove earlier this year, which is phenomenal. The GT Performance with its wheels and tires lowers the range by 10, so 260 miles of range. You still have the same 98 kilowatt hour battery pack, 88 of which is usable. Ford is actually allowing the capacity to go up for 2022 to 91 kilowatt hours. So the 2022 model should see slightly improved range, maybe 5 miles more versus this 2021 model. It all goes out through a 1-speed reduction gear transmission. All-wheel drive is, of course, standard on the GT versions. And Ford says this model here will get to 60 in around 3.8 seconds. The Performance will do it in 3.5. Mach-E's are actually not rated to tow. They're not recommended to tow per Ford's recommendations. So for those of you who'd like to do that, I'm sorry, you're going to be disappointed a little bit there. And then, of course, the GTs are the heaviest of the breed. This one here weighs in at around 4,800 pounds. The Performance, I believe, is slightly heavier by a little bit more, but because it's a skateboard platform, the center of gravity is nice and low, so it should have still very good handling. So now that I've showed you the GT Performance in Cyber Orange, I've switched over to a regular GT in the very nice Grabber Blue. This is actually my favorite color. It's the one that I ordered. And let's go walk around the vehicle so you guys can see the differences between the Performance and the regular GT. Now at the front fascia, you can see the front end is the same as the Performance. I really like the grille and the front bumper of the GT version. You can see you still have that fake grille here with the Mustang logo. You can see it's actually lit up right now. This lights up every time you have the headlights turned on. You have your camera still in the same spot. You have the same front splitter here, of course. It's not any different. And then the headlights, you can see sequential LED turn signals are included on all Mach-E models with LED low and high beams. No fog lights. But you do have some of those active arrows, like those active grille shutters, this little functional air vent here to create an air curtain over the wheels. And overall, you can see, looking at the side profile, the wheels are definitely a point of controversy. In fact, I call them the flower wheels because that's what they look like. Ford calls them the 20-inch aero wheels with the covers. You can take this cover off if you guys don't like the cover. I'm not going to do that right now because you actually have to take the entire wheel off. You can see they're held on by the lug nuts. You can see the brakes are still the same red painted calipers, slightly larger brakes on the GT, but they don't spell out Brembo here like they do on the Performance. So I would go for the GT Performance on the wheels alone because I don't like these wheels. You do have Michelin or Continental Cross Contact all-season tires. The rims themselves on the GTs are not only an inch bigger, 20 inches, they're also an inch wider, which allowed Ford to go to a 245/45 wood tires, which are 20 millimeters wider versus the standard Mach-E. You still have that lowered ride height, but you also lose the adaptive dampers, the magnorheological dampers. Now, compared to the regular Mach-E, I forgot to mention this earlier, this vehicle is 186.7 inches long. It's actually about an inch longer than the standard Mach-E because it's all, I believe, in the front and rear bumpers, which extended the overall length. Still the same width, a little bit lower though, because this is, again, a slightly lower vehicle. At the back, you can see the sequential LED turn signals. Very classic Mustang thing, full LEDs as well. But let me know in the comments below if you guys prefer the Cyber Orange, which sometimes looks more yellow to me, or this Grabber Blue. So let's move on to the interior of the Mach-E GT, and for that I've switched over to the Performance Edition in this dark matter gray exterior color. Here's the key fob for the vehicle. You can see Ford's smart key access system does come standard. They did add, it looks like, a trunk release button on the key fob. The first one that I drove back in February, the Premium, did not have that. It was a very blank, basic looking key. Still no front release. You have to actually access that through your phone app, or there's a new button in the screen, or you can also pull the latch twice, and you can also use your phone as a key, which Ford says they've made improvements through OTA over the years. Now, opening the door of the Mach-E, you're going to notice, again, just like the regular one, no door handles, no exposed door handles. Instead, with the key fob or your phone as a key on here, just push that button over here. You can see that pushes the door open, and then you can grab this area here to open the door for you. And looking at the interior, if you guys have seen the regular Mach-E, this is going to look familiar, however, with some key differences. Now, first of all, the GT Performance Edition only comes with the ActiveX gray interior color combination. So if you guys want a lighter color, sadly Ford does not offer that, but you can see the seats are very much upgraded on the Performance Edition, especially this one here. It's got its own unique Milko or Myco suede ActiveX interior with the kind of contrast here with the white stitching. If you guys go for the regular GT, you actually get orange stitching, and the seats don't have this kind of extra aggressive bolstering here. The ActiveX material is nice. It feels like very high quality material. Obviously it's not real leather, but I love the reflective suede Alcantara that they put in the center. You also get the white stitching. But I also kind of like the orange stitching in the base GT, so I kind of wish Ford would offer more interior upgrades in this vehicle, or interior color combinations. You can see the door panels have the same ActiveX material with the suede inserts. You do get a 10-speaker Bang & Olufsen stereo, which sounds good. The seats have a 3-person memory function, and you can see it's an 8-way power driver's seat with a 2-way lumbar support, which is definitely nice. Now, getting inside the Mach-E, it has a easy step in height. If you feel like you're sitting a little bit higher, remember this is an SUV, even though you only have 5.1 inches of ground clearance. And then when I shut the door has a nice solid sounding thunk. So again, very high impression of quality. And this interior definitely feels like Ford, you know, obviously had Tesla in their sights, but they also wanted to give us their modern interpretation. The button to turn the vehicle on is over here. So instead of some competitors, Ford still makes you put your foot on the brake and push a button here to turn the vehicle on. You can hear, once you do that, both of the screens come to life. You have a 10-inch display over here, which is great. That's right behind the steering wheel. And then you have their massive 15.5-inch Sync 4A infotainment system, which, as you can see, it has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. Now, compared to the Mach-E Premium that I drove earlier this year, this is much faster. Through over-the-air updates, Ford has definitely improved their software. My phone, as you can see, paired directly to this immediately, and I could get it to pair very quickly as well. The graphics look fantastic. We'll come back to that in just a moment, but I do want to talk about some of the differences in the dash material. With the Performance Edition, you can see it gives you this carbon fiber look trim here, which looks good. You have more of the suede on the dash here with genuine stitching. This area right here is hard touch plastic, but this is okay because you're not going to really touch that area. And you can see this area right here, it almost looks like this entire dash is made of a speaker because it has that speaker grill covered material, which is very nice. It's very modern in here and very high tech. Now, some of you, again, have probably expressed your dislike with this massive iPad in the center. It's grown on me, and I also like how Ford does it in this orientation, because typically they do it in a landscape orientation and you kind of have to reach over here to reach that. Instead, it's all kind of right here, although the CarPlay would probably look better if it was going that direction. But again, those are kind of trade-offs you have to make. The door panel material is a soft touch injection molded plastic here, which is great. Window controls, you can see they feel pretty high quality. All the windows are one touch automatic, all four, which is nice. Very nice high quality switches and buttons. You have power folding mirrors as well, which you can set to fold and unfold whenever you lock the car and whatnot. The steering wheel, you can see it's a tilt and telescoping design, offers a good amount of adjustability with the range. This area here, as you can see, those flashing lights aren't actually flashing all the time, it's just from the camera. That watches your face, it has a camera sensor. This is all for Ford's Blue Cruise feature, which the GT version is the first to have it. That's basically their hands-free driver assist on the highway on certain interstates and whatnot. Now, looking over here on the center console, or center stack right here, you can see big area for your wireless phone charging pad, cup holders over here. I like how there's a lot of storage, and then this is your shifter here for your 1-speed reduction gear transmission. This car also does have active parallel parking and electronic parking brake. When I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see Ford does give you a top-down full 360 camera with trajectory, with parking sensors, so that's all what you expect. The graphics also look very impressive. Now, looking over here on the instrument panel or on the infotainment system, let's come back to this because this is relatively easy to navigate once you get the hang of it, and Ford also wanted to make this very intuitive. Now, first of all, there's a massive volume knob here, which is something that they said customers wanted. You can also turn the system on and off by just pushing that. You can see this button right here is right behind the actual knob. This area right here doesn't change. It's your climate control settings. You can see the seats are heated. Ford offers just heated seats. They don't offer cooled seats. They also offer a heated steering wheel, which is nice. Climate here doesn't change. This is the area that kind of changes because you can have all these cards right here, which you can basically select things when you want to go back to, like, for example, GPS. You can see it kind of swipes that up there and brings me the GPS. Pushing the Mach E icon over there is how you access your different drive modes. There's Whisper, Engage, and Unbridled. We know those modes, but then this car also adds Unbridled Extend. Now, the Extend mode, I'll talk about that when we go into the autocross section. That is technically not for on-road usage, and it's also going to limit the power. So it's not going to be the fastest way to get acceleration. Instead, you want to take it out of Extend and you want to use Unbridled. That's going to give you your fastest acceleration times. One pedal drive is for your Regen Braking, and this car actually does give you very strong Regen Braking, which is really nice. And then you can also turn on and off the propulsion sound, and you can kind of go to here and it'll tell you what these modes are, what they do for you and whatnot. All your different adjustments are also over here as well. You can go to your different settings. This car does have ambient lighting in here where you can interchange the lighting, which is great. The interface is really easy to use, and you can see Ford has done a good job of making this a lot faster. You can also push that button there. You can edit your profiles. This car can set up with several different personal profiles, so when I get into the vehicle, it knows who I am, and it automatically adjusts my radio settings, my presets, my seat controls, my mirror controls, and that's kind of what Tesla does again. So again, this is very, very high tech. It's really easy to use, and unlike modern Teslas, you do have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which is something that I really must have in my modern car. So that's something that I think Ford really got right. Now over here you can see there is a GT logo on the center console armrest. Open this up, you can see there's some nice storage in here. You have a 12 volt over here. You have two USB ports down there, a USB-A and a USB-C, which is nice. Above me there is a big pano roof, glass roof. This does not open and there is no sunshade, but it is very dark tinted, so Ford said it's not necessarily needed. You have all LED lighting in this cabin, and then these seats are super comfortable and supportive. I love the suede insert. I love how aggressively bolstered they are. I love how Ford gave you upgraded seats, and this dark gray interior looks more black to me. It's like a charcoal dark gray. I really want Ford to offer like a lighter gray, space gray interior, or white interior. Even a red interior would look fantastic. So hopefully Ford, you do offer a little bit more color options. Opening up the glove box, you can see it's a bin style. It's damped, but it's not lined with felt. And then just like the other Mach-Es, visibility is good. You have this nice low dash. The hood has these really interesting bulges. This pillar is a little bit large, but you do have Ford's Copilot 360, which is standard. So you have blind spot monitoring, adaptive cruise control, rear cross traffic alert, automatic braking, stuff like that, and then the Blue Cruise, which is optional, which this one has. So overall, this cabin, very pleasant, very roomy. It feels really nice and modern in here. Ford did a really good job with differentiating the GT and giving us a little bit more. Jumping into the back seat, you can see it's accessed by this button right here. Once you push that button, it pushes the door out, and there's a little pad here that you can open the back seats to. And I know some of you who have, you know, a gas-powered Mustang are probably like, this has a back seat, it's an SUV. But you know what? This is the cool thing about the Mach-E, is you do have plenty of space back here. In fact, Ford says you get 38 inches of legroom back here. 38 inches of legroom is massive for the segment. And it's great that you have all this practicality and you have the same very nice high quality seating material with the contrasting white stitching, this suede insert, and that completely flat floor that you see down there in the center, which allows you to actually seat 3 people across. Now, getting inside the back seat here, you can see I have plenty of space, plenty of leg room, plenty of knee room. These seat backs you can see here are kind of sculpted so they don't take up too much of my knee space when I shut the door. You can see the door sounds just as solid as the front. They carried over with the high quality materials in the back seat, which is great. You have 2 rear seat air vents. You have 2 USB ports, an A and a C port. No map pockets, however. These sport seats obviously take that away. They look really aggressive and cool from the back seats here. And then you can see from back here, you have this massive glass roof, which again is very Tesla-like. Really extends all the way to the back over here. They put some decent high quality material for the headliner. You have adjustable headrest here. And then if you fold this down, Ford gives you an armrest with 2 cup holders. The one thing that is missing back here that would make it a lot better are heated back seats. That's something that you can get in a Tesla Model Y, and sadly Ford does not offer that. Now, because this is an all-electric car, how could we not talk about charging capabilities? Now, of course, if you guys have the regular Mach-E or you're familiar with it, the GT is going to be roughly the same. The charge port door is over here on the front on the driver's side, which some of you may really like because it allows you to kind of pull in, and it's right here on the side that you're going to get out of the vehicle in. And you can see all Mach-Es come standard with DC fast charging capability, although the base select version, I believe the maximum is 115 kilowatts. This one here can charge up to 150 kilowatts, which means you could essentially charge the 88 kilowatt hour battery pack usage from 10 to 80% in about 35 minutes or so, which is pretty quick. It's about average for the segment. If you guys also plan to charge this at home, the level 2 charger will allow you to basically replenish the battery from empty to full in roughly 10 hours. 8 to 10 hours, depending on, again, which charging system you're using. The Ford mobile charger that comes with the vehicle allows you to basically switch out from a standard 110 to a 240, which is great how Ford gave that to you. You don't even have to buy an aftermarket charger. That basically will give you 20 miles per hour. Which would allow you, again, to recharge this battery overnight. You can option in a faster charger from Ford, which will increase that to roughly just under 30 miles per hour if you guys must have a 48 amp fastest charging capability. The charge port door also has some pretty nice touches in here. It shows the little pony logo, and it also will show this little area here light up when the vehicle is charged, and these basically rings will add more LED bars as the vehicle's battery becomes more topped off. So I am finishing up my long 11 days of travel, and I started out in the Ford Maverick. I'm ending in the Mustang Mach-E GT, and I've been waiting to drive this car. I mean, I mentioned it earlier. I'm going to continue to mention it. I have one of these on order in the Grabber Blue, a performance edition, which should be heading to my local dealer by November. Now, of course, this is my very first time behind the wheel of the GT Performance Edition, and it's dual motor all-wheel drive, 480 horsepower. Ford says 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. And the quickest acceleration times you're going to get are going to be an unbridled, not unbridled extend. That's for the track. So, first time flooring it. Let's see how it feels. Oh! Already got up to 60 there, and I'm did you guys hear that? There was a smidge of wheel spin because this car has a little bit of torque steer. And basically what Ford did to give this vehicle more power is they boosted the electric motor in the front. Oh! And because it's got more horsepower in the front, it actually overwhelms the front tires a little bit, which is kind of funny. But for those of you who still continue to question whether this vehicle deserves the Mustang name, right off the bat I can tell you this vehicle feels tail happy. It feels like it has the dynamics of not a gas-powered Mustang, but it's very playful. It's got really direct and quick steering. And you know what? For an SUV that weighs this much, I'm actually really surprised at how well this vehicle handles. I mean, I liked the way that the premium all-wheel drive version handled, but this car, oh my God, it has Tesla performance levels of acceleration here. I'm waiting for my stupid 0 to 60 timer here to get a signal. I don't know what it is about the mountains up here in California, but it doesn't want to get a signal, but oh my God, what? Oh, I have missed fast electric vehicles like this. Oh, and you guys saw it there. I was going into that corner a little too hard. The stability control grabbed and the car wanted to step out a little bit. She definitely feels a little tail happy. I'm gonna save my shenanigans like that for the autocross course tomorrow, but as we are stuck behind a slow-moving Tesla. That's the one thing I hate about being in this area here in San Francisco. You see Teslas after Teslas after Teslas everywhere. And don't get me wrong, I love my Model 3, but I'm just so sick of seeing Teslas, and it's refreshing to drive something like this, because I have to tell you guys, in my first 5 minutes of driving this out on the road, I had people waving, staring, taking pictures. It gets attention everywhere it goes, and that's the beauty about the Mach-E, especially the GT version. It just has Tesla acceleration levels when you put your foot down, and it's a head turner. I love this color, I love the styling, I love the steering, I love the seats. Also, the performance version gives you these upgraded seats, which definitely hug you a lot better versus the standard GT or the standard Mustang Mach-E's. And okay, the scenery here is absolutely beautiful, but this car shocks me. Now, I also want to talk about the ride quality. This one has the magno-rheological dampers, and the ride quality is good. Some people might complain that it's a little too firm. I disagree. I think the ride is firm, but also relatively compliant. I mean, it's a Mustang, so I expect it to have slightly firmer ride quality. And you do also feel the weight of this vehicle. I mean, we're talking about an electric SUV that weighs almost 5,000 pounds. Of course it's going to feel fat and heavy. The dynamics of this car, I want to say it tends to oversteer more. You can feel the weight transitioning, but it also transitions in a really squirrely kind of way. I'm not sure I've liked that, at least on this narrow road. I'm not quite familiar with this road, but now granted, you can basically turn off the stability control in this model here in any mode. Ford says that the GT is the first version to allow you to do that. And I would definitely say do it when you're on a track, because I would be afraid to do this on a road that I'm unfamiliar with. But because this car does have the adaptive dampers, it allowed Ford to tune the suspension specifically for this model along with the tires. And it's got a lot of grip. The grip is really good. And the Regen Braking, I love the one-pedal drive here because it helps slow the vehicle down, puts that back into the battery. But here, as I go into this corner here, I can feel the car wants to rotate in the back, and it's... you put your foot down a little bit, it just wants to get sideways, and that, again, reminds me of a Mustang. Even though this is an electric SUV, the handling dynamics remind me of a Mustang. The grip in the front is not bad, no torque steer there, but from a dead stop, you definitely get a sense that it will torque steer a little bit. I have to tell you guys, I just got out of the $100,000 Mercedes-Benz EQS, $140,000, and this car is way more fun. Now, of course, it doesn't have the luxury of that vehicle, but that's the beauty about this car, is for $59,000, you can get acceleration that will embarrass the Porsche, the Ferrari, the Corvette next to you at the light. And it's a Mustang. It's such a great combination. And we're stuck behind somebody slow again. But anyways, I'm gonna hop into the regular GT version. I'm gonna hope I can get a 0 to 60 if my equipment here can actually get a time. But if I can't get one here, I'm gonna wait until I get one back home anyways, where I can properly test it. Ford says 3.5 seconds for this model, 3.8, of course, for the base version. All right, ready? Here it goes. Oh God, okay. What? 3.93 seconds, 0 to 60. Now that was with barely any signal. Remember, Ford says 3.5 seconds. So I'm gonna have to retest that to see if I can find any signal. It's been a struggle to find signal here, to be honest. Oh. All right, so now I've switched over into the base GT, and base here is a relative term. I mean, we still have the same 480 horsepower. We do have a little bit less torque though, 600 pound-feet, and the wheels on this vehicle are all-season Continentals, which Ford again co-developed with Continental specifically for the vehicle. And we've also switched over to a Grabber Blue base version, which I love this color. This is the color that I chose for the one that I ordered. And it's just everything that I liked about the Performance GT is right here in the base version. I mean, The ride quality is going to be a little bit different because of the magno-rheological dampers that the performance package has. This one has just the standard suspension, although it is, I believe, tuned a little bit stiffer. And I'm definitely noticing the ride it's not harsh in this car, but it also has a little bit more rebound when you hit a bump. You feel that a little bit more. But again, this is a Mustang, so you kind of expect it to ride and handle sportier than, you know, a regular crossover. If Ford wanted to give us an electric Ford Edge, they would have done so, but instead they gave us a Mustang Mach-E, which is the whole reason why this vehicle is so appealing to a lot of people. And Ford's been selling a ton of these cars. They said that they're about to cross the 50,000 unit mark in 2021, which is nuts to think that they've already sold almost 50,000 units of these. Sadly, I'm probably not going to be able to do a 0 to 60 again because I just can't seem to get signal here. So I'm going to have to wait until I get this vehicle back home to do so. But what I love about the Mach-E GT is there's instantaneous power, and it doesn't feel like Ford is limiting it. When I put my foot to the floor here, it just takes off aggressively, and that's what I want. And it's kind of the same thing from a stop as well. Ford said that they actually added a little bit of an overboost function. When it senses that you floored the accelerator, it will give you about 5 seconds of overboost to give you maximum acceleration. And right now, the propulsion sound is not on right now. So if I put my foot down here, you can see there's no noise. But with a quick tap of this button here, I can turn on the propulsion sound, and when I do that, it creates a little bit of an induction noise. It's an interesting noise. It's actually, Ford says they've tuned it to sound a little different for this car, but to me it sounds almost the same. I think the noise is pretty cool, but I actually prefer driving it without the noise. Let's see here what I can do. I've got signal here, which is surprising. I don't usually get signal here. Try this out here. Yeah, so when you don't have very good signal, that number is not right, because it was showing 60 when I was clearly not doing 60. So I'm not going to be able to test the 0 to 60 because I don't have signal on this thing. It's a combination of the mountains and just being so close to the water, my guess. So we'll throw that out of the equation. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you prefer it with the propulsion sound on or with it off? So it's really interesting because I think the whole point of an EV is the silence. We like the silence of this vehicle. When we put our foot down here, it just kind of takes off, and that's what we really like. The GT Performance also had some pretty aggressive, at times, wheel spin at the front axle, and I'm not noticing it with the regular GT. If I floor it here from a stop, no, it doesn't spin the front tires out. And I'm assuming that's because this car doesn't have as much torque. I mean, 634 in the Performance versus 600 in this. It is a noticeable difference, and that's why it's 0.3 seconds slower, but it also takes away from that. The spinning front tires that you get in the Performance. So that's one of the big differences that I'm noticing just driving the two back to back. And that's the beauty about doing these events like this, is I can drive the two back to back, and I can see the actual differences in the performance for this car. Really, if it were my money, actually, I ordered the performance model. Obviously, you don't necessarily need the performance version, but I think after driving the two back-to-back on the road, I'm happy with my decision. I just like the extra. This is definitely plenty. It's way faster feeling than the premium all-wheel drive that I tested earlier this year. But you're going to notice a couple things with this versus the Performance. The ride quality is a little bit firmer. There's more bump impactness because it doesn't have the dampers. It doesn't spin the front tires out when you first hit it from a stop, which is kind of funny. And the grip from these Continentals, obviously these are all seasons, isn't quite as good. So again, those are all things to keep in mind, but it's what your $5,000 essentially gets you, and much better looking wheels. I can't stand the way that these wheels look. So Ford is pretty serious about the Mach-E being a Mustang, and to prove that, I'm here in the GT Performance Edition, and Ford set up this little autocross course here where we can try the unbridled extend mode. Now, I know a lot of owners were first driving this car before media was getting hold of it, and they were doing their drag racing in the extend mode, which Ford says that doesn't give you max power. This actually limits the power in order to extend your time in unbridled. So basically, you're going to have slower straight line performance, but you should have consistently better lap times. At least that's what they said. If you're trying to get the quickest run, if you're going to go out one time, they say do it in unbridled. If you're going to do it 4 times, which we're doing today, put it in the extend mode. And also, you can't go into the extend mode whenever you want. Ford says the computer will look at several factors, and it will only allow you to do that if it deems that it's suitable to go into extend. So now we are in unbridled extend. This is my first time on the autocross course, and let's see how the Mach-E GT Performance Edition handles. Remember, we are on summer Pirelli tires. All right, now this is the first lap. Ford says I can do 2 hot laps, and this is where we can see how the Mach-E, and with the stability control in a less restrictive setting, the back end steps out like you'd expect a Mustang to. Even though this is an all-wheel drive car, you can steer with the throttle. And try doing this in your Tesla Model Y. There's no mode for this. In the 3 there is, it's not in the Y. But again, Ford was serious about this being a Mustang. I do kind of wish the Regen brakes, okay, there's some understeer there. Put your foot down here hard. I can feel it's not as fast as when I was in just regular unbridled. Definitely noticed that. It is definitely limiting the power because it's trying to give me a longer availability to use the extend. You really feel the weight of this car. It's a heavy vehicle. The front definitely could use a little more grip at times, I'm noticing. But this is still a lot of fun. The seats are also holding me in place much better than any Tesla seats that I've ever sat in, which is a performance edition or performance model. So Ford did a great job here with the overall package. This is my second lap, hot lap. Okay, understeer there, but the beauty about these EVs is the heavy batteries along the floor give it a very low center of gravity. The understeer there can be fixed when you put your foot down, but just it squirts out of the gate so quick. That's the cool thing about EVs is there's no noise and it just kind of, you can point and shoot it. I didn't think I could be having this much fun in a 5,000-pound SUV that's electric. Good brakes, good friction brakes. But man, it really does feel noticeably slower in extend mode. Try getting sideways in your Tesla Model Y like that. That is so much fun. All right. 5% battery. It used 5% battery on that 4-lap course. So after spending some time in both the GT and the GT Performance Edition, what Ford has built here is a very, very enticing Tesla alternative that is truly worthy of the Mustang name. As you guys saw out on the road and on the autocross course, I was simply blown away by the acceleration that Ford offers in both the GT and the GT Performance. 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds is easily attainable. I should be able to retest that once I have my actual car be delivered to my home sometime next month. And really what surprised me the most is the fact that this vehicle gives you those rear drive, tail out shenanigans that you expect from something that wears the Mustang name. As you guys saw out in the autocross course, if you have it in unbridled extend, you turn off the traction control, it allows you to completely let the tail hang out even though this is an all-wheel drive car. Because the battery packs are mounted very low on the floor, it gives it a really nice low center of gravity. And even though this vehicle is pretty heavy, you do feel the weight from time to time. Remember, this is a car that's not supposed to replace the Ford Mustang, the gas-powered version. It's supposed to just kind of add to it. So think about having a Mustang in your garage and having this as your daily driver because it offers a lot, and that's what Ford has done here. They give you a really great EV that's the entire package that feels like it's a worthy alternative to Tesla. Now, speaking of which, if you guys are looking to purchase the Mach-E GT, this vehicle is considerably more expensive than the standard model, which is like around $43,000. The base GT starts at around $59,000. $15,995. Add $5,000 for the performance package like this model here. And then of course, with all the options this has, the panoramic roof, the Blue Cruise, the additional upcharge for the color, you're looking at just over $69,000. Now I know $69,000 is a lot of money when you're considering an electric SUV like this. It is actually about, I want to say 10 grand more expensive than the Tesla Model Y, depending on if you don't add the full self-driving from Tesla. But remember, this car does qualify for the full $7,500 tax credit, which you can no longer get with Tesla. And you're also going to be driving around in a car that seriously gets a lot of attention. Here in the San Francisco area where you see Teslas everywhere, this car turns heads because it stands out, and with Ford offering it in these bright colors like this beautiful cyber orange, it's really going to be a hot vehicle, and it already is a hot vehicle because Ford says they've managed to sell nearly 50,000 units since this car has gone on sale since the very early part of this year. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E GT Performance Edition. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.